Parents strongly caution the following programs are intended for mature audiences over the age of 18. These programs may contain some material that many parents would not find suitable for children and may include intense violence, sexual situations, coarse language, and suggestive dialogue.
Today ain't your day, Art.
Listen, I've
been to pop off this to someone else. Today ain't your day.
Look, it's anger at the situation. If you just happen to be in the firing line, I can't help that, bro.
Well, the race didn't help. I was already turned due to personal matters today. So the race finish just added the cherry on the pie or the whipped cream on the milkshake.
And enough about dairy. I had a big bowl of ice cream and a glass of milk, so we might be on the clock. So my wife swears I'm lactose
you get that lactose intolerance.
My wife swears I'm lactose intolerant. Unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about it. You just gotta soldier on. I don't think there's a cure.
Hey,
I know what I'm giving for like right then.
What happened to all these desserts? I feel like last week or two, you're like, I got a pie waiting on me.
Yeah, how was the pie?
I got a sweet tooth. I like my dessert, man.
So. Was the pie good?
The crust was good. The apple filling, it needed a little bit more dialing in, but we'll get there. We'll go back to
more brown sugar, more cinnamon.
Needed one more stop.
It was, I don't know. I'll have to go with my mom. I think may have needed a little bit more cornstarch to make it a little bit more gelatinized, because it was just honestly like slices of apple with the seasoning. Like the flavor was good, but like I don't know, a lot of like apple pies you get. Yeah, a little bit thicker on the cold.
You really doing mic checks during the cold open, bro? That's crazy. Yes, we can hear you. Wow.
The worst part is he asked me before y'all joined if you could hear me, so he just did to be a nuisance. He didn't
I don't. I got the laptop, you dickhead.
Wow.
You're a little echoey now.
Okay, is it bad?
Kind of rude.
That is rude.
Hey,
you know what? You know what, Bonte? Watch this. Art, drop my music.
They opened up a little small track in Danville called the Dixie Speedway, and they wanted to get some black drivers, and they thought they didn't know who to approach, so they went to the police department to find out what black guys had speeding records and things like that. So they told them they want somebody to drive a race car to see me. So that's how I started racing.
Hey, what's up, y'all? This is former NASCAR driver Bill Lester.
I'm NASCAR driver Natalie Decker.
NASCAR's Chief Hype Officer Mamba Smith.
And you're listening to Victory Lane.
Victory Lane.
Victory Lane Vibes. Let's go.
376, Antron Brown is the Top Fuel champion.
About Rajat Fruit, he's never led the field to green on a start or a restart, Michael. What a moment for him right now. His 30th truck start came up from the Arkham and Ard series. Just praying for it. There it is. Rajat Caruth wins it at Las Vegas. First career win, gets it done.
You stayed in the game, and it was just one step, one punch, one round at a time. And my guys had me a great stop, and we just executed. So there's more to come for sure.
His final time through 3 and 4. He's gonna do it. Bubba Wallace wins at Kansas.
What they gonna say now, baby? Let's go!
Championship record is equals. Lewis Hamilton wins the Turkish Grand Prix and is a 7-time champion of the world.
Get in there, Lewis. What a way to do it, mate. What a way to win your 7th world title.
Welcome to another episode of Victory Lane Vibes. We are your hostesses with the mostesses. It is Sunday evening, 8:46 Eastern Daylight Time, and we're in the studio. It's me, Art, Peyton, and Bonte, and we are here post some unfair brick kissing. That's all you. That's how the show's going to go. Unfair brick kissing. We put the phone number up as soon as the race ended. We got some calls on the hotline. Let's drop that intro music and let's get into the segment, shall we?
got two hotliners calling in.
We got two
Let's
spices.
hear what they got to say.
All right, let's do it.
Hey, Victory Lane Vibes. This is your guy BJ Morgan here, just calling in. First of all, saying a happy Sunday to you guys as I make this call. I'm sure it's probably going to be Monday or Tuesday before I hear you guys' pod. I'm always going to say after a race, congrats to the winner, even if, the winner ain't someone who is probably very popular with the majority of, I think, the audience of those. So, but congrats to the 5 team. They got it done. I'll say the same thing about, them that I said about Bowman a couple weeks ago after Chicago. The drivers, the drivers are good. Hendrick has drivers, but, they have hella crew chiefs that put them on the right strategy and get them on the right setup and the right path towards victory. They do an incredible job. It's like having on a football team if you have a bunch of B- players, and you have an A+ coach and A+ coaching staff, they can take those B- players and turn them into A+ teams and A+ players. So congrats to them. That just didn't feel like a crown jewel to me. I don't know why. It's just that I know they say the Brickyard 400 is supposed to be a crown jewel, but that just, I don't know. I guess it's because the half empty track, the empty bleachers, I guess didn't help it, but that didn't feel like that didn't just feel like a big time, like how the Daytona 500, Southern 500, Coke 600 was on the field. It felt like another ho-hum NASCAR race that, just they played out like how they normally do. First stage, uneventful. Second stage, kind of a little bit more eventful, but still not, much. And then the third stage, the bottom falls out. A few cautions, wrecks. Next thing you know, whoever played the right fuel strategy gets set up to win. So that's what I say about that. But anyway, 23-11, those guys I think both got top 5 finishes, so that's what's solid in their trek towards the championship. And that's all I got to say. If I can split over to the Truck Series, they shout out to Caruso. I think he had a top 10 run and won the pole this weekend. So that was that. Between how they treated it, between, them having to switch networks twice, this race just felt like an after. It just felt like a big, prestigious crown jewel to me. That's all I got to say on that. But anyway, God bless you guys. I'll see you guys in the future, and good luck to you.
Man, that was some BS. We had to change stations. I had to finish watching Law and Order before they switched the race over to USA.
Is that going to force you to vote for Trump a third time?
Oh, man. We don't talk about that on the show. This is a racing podcast. But I'm highly upset that the incumbent president that dictates what station plays my NASCAR, that pissed me off. And add insult to injury, we just gotta wait for the rest of the show. Just to expand on something that BJ real quick. I know we're gonna talk about it later, but I'll just have to poll that question to y'all in a little bit. Did it feel crown jewel-ish with the attendance and the banners covering the seats like we were watching a minor league baseball game? Did it feel crown jewel-ish? We'll get to that later. Go ahead, Art.
Oh, well, I mean, you done, what's the opposite of teeing up? You teed it down. So now I got to wait because that's what I'm
you got to wait. We here for content. We can't do the whole show in 10 minutes. Then we just waste some time on the mic.
All right.
Well,
Jeremy.
I just have to say, I appreciate the call and with the voicemail. And yeah, I agree with a lot of his sentiment. Yeah, I agree. He ain't been wrong yet whenever he calls in, right?
Yeah, BJ, you ain't been wrong yet. Shoot or shoot.
All right. And so we got one more for you.
8 years later.
I was going to cut this dead air out, but now I'm going to leave it.
This is Jer. You're going to have to bleep this or something. I'm fucking pissed. I know I'm not the only one. Everybody's shitty. Oh my God. I cannot believe that they didn't abort the restart. Let's start there. I feel like they should not have gone green. Kyle Larson should not have been able to take that line. They should have been able to choose again. And Blaney should have been able to inherit P1. Because what the fuck? What the actual fuck? Kyle still honestly could have and probably would have won. And that's fine. But the fact that there are Kyle Larson fans all over Twitter right now, never fucking calling it X, I don't care, all over Twitter right now saying, I'm not happy about this win. This win doesn't sit right with me. Because they're not even talking about the restart, honestly. They're talking about the fact that at the end, you had a stopped car and they did not call a caution. I don't care that, like, what the fuck? You could have gone into overtime again and it would have been fine. Like, this isn't like the Indy 500 where we got delayed and all that other shit. Like, calling another overtime would not have hurt anything. Larson, again, probably would have won again, and that would be fine. That is just fine. If he wins it on merit, that is just fine. It does not feel like he won it on merit here. And that's what I'm pissed about. Anyways, thanks for letting me rant. What the fuck?
Also not wrong. When I realized the jig was up, when Xfinity Racing tweeted out both McLaren dubs, because Larson brought back the McLaren paint scheme that he didn't get a chance to drive from the 600, and then obviously Piastri won an F1 race and over in Hungary today. It was a setup. Somebody got paid a check, and I'm disgusted.
Again, our call-inners are correct. And
our listeners don't miss. We love y'all, man. Y'all don't miss.
Jared currently takes P1 on the cusses for this episode, but I have a feeling she will not be P1 at the finish. But she takes the early lead. So good on you.
Lord, here could come Art Rent. So
I know Public Enemy #1 is not talking about some all Lord and try to blame somebody else.
First of all, I haven't cursed on the show in how long? So I don't want to hear.
You ain't been here in how long?
That doesn't mean anything. That's the point you're saying, sir.
Well, let's get into it, shall we? Ross Chastain had to catch an helicopter to go race Friday night at IRP, where there were some shenanigans, I'd say, between Christian Eckes and Corey Haim. Christian didn't like the way Corey raced him. Corey didn't like the way Christian raced him. They were bickering back and forth. Tom Majeski sneaks in and wins IRP Friday night. Raj had the pole. Truck went bye-bye. Battled back to finish 8th, so good on him. But yeah, Tom Majeski wins the truck race Friday night at IRP. What say the panel? What do you feel about the truck race?
I'll go first. I actually really like the truck race for the most part. I mean, I think this felt like your typical short track racing, right? It felt like, small town USA racetrack. I think the big story for me was just watching Corey Haim and Tom Majeski overcoming those issues they had. So I think one had a speeding penalty. I think the other had a loose tire or something like that. So they just sliced through the field in the second half of the race. So that was pretty impressive. Raj bringing home a top 10 was great. I know he probably wanted a little bit more than what he got on the day. I think he finished 8th. But that truck just seemed like it didn't have the speed in race that it did in qualifying, but still a good showing. The fact that you finish 8th and you're upset, that's a good sign. I like that he's hungry. But yeah, I think, Corey after the race, this was the first moment where I went, maybe this kid isn't ready yet for a Cup Series ride, because I really feel like what went on, that he was so flustered and, upset about, and, I'm not going to oversell and act like he was having a meltdown, but enough that he had to go talk to the guy. It happens every lap pretty much, right? Like in the Cup Series, like to me, that's very common. So I think someone needs to sit down with him and show him some tape and just remind him like, hey, look, like he left you a lane and all you get is a lane. He doesn't have to give you a lane and a half. As long as he didn't give you half a lane, you should be okay and still be able to deal with that. So I just thought that was an interesting moment. And that was the first time I've thought of Corey in that light. So far, especially on the show, I've been like, yo, get this guy in a Cup seat immediately. But I was one of those moments was like, oh, wait, you are a little baby. Like you need some maturing. And not in a bad way. It's just he's a young driver. But that was probably the highlight of the truck race for me. Like it was solid. It was fun. I feel like that's one of those races though where like if you're in person, it's probably way more fun if you've got, popcorn and a beer and you're sitting in the stands for a race like that versus on TV. But I thought they did a good job.
They need to take the Cup cars to that track. That track races really well. I love the number of different lines you can run there. You saw what impressed me so much was the number of people, and you knew that Eckes and Corey Heim had good trucks when they could make the very, very, very bottom line work because there's no banking down there. It seems like you would not be able to get on the throttle very early because you're at, you have so much wheel turned in. But the truck series this year, in terms of competition level, it feels so lopsided. Like I feel like could we please just go ahead and skip to the championship finale just so we can have Eckes versus Heim, 1v1. And this is someone who I was so happy. I consider myself a fan of Ty Masexi or Ty McHandsome, or I like Ty Medeski. He's a quality driver. It is funny also too. He's returning to the scene of the crime from last year, where he had those tricky tires, those tricky wheels that managed to maintain the perfect air pressure using tricks learned from Smokey Eunuch. So it was nice to see that he was able to return to the scene of where the allegedly non-conforming wheels and tires were found last year or after the race. But overall, just a very, very solid short track type race, both a lot of different lanes and grooves. I think, yeah, the Xfinity and the Cup cars could actually do quite well there. No chance in heck they would ever actually race there in the Cup cars. I do feel like the anger from Heim was sort of overblown. I can understand being slightly annoyed, but I didn't necessarily think it justified a pit lane sort of conversation. It wasn't anything over the top. You didn't feel like it was going to lead to any sort of fisticuffs, but I agree with you, Art, there. I mean, there was space there. It was a minor transgression that did happen to cut a tire, but it wasn't as though he bounced him into the wall and then, really pinched him up there. But overall, just a, solid race overall. And that track is just one of the gems of short track racing. And it's nice that they can manage to visit tracks like that and continue to sort of keep those tracks getting national TV time.
Fun, terrific.
Pretty decent. Not a bad RP race. That was pretty decent. Was confused on the Corey Heim and Eckes situation, but I don't think like you under caution, you trying to hit your truck to Kristen ain't that serious. Like I like you, I like you, Corey, but come on, man. But other than that, happy Parage got top 10. Which you 101, but this happens. Tommy Jeski's a cool driver sometimes. And yeah, RP.
The truck schedule is always very interessante. But not anymore, because the next time they race, they'll be here at Richmond. He. More on that later. So we got the trucks out the way from short track racing, and then Xfinity again, once again, the best show in show business, the best race finish this year. I don't count Atlanta. Those 3,000s don't mean shit to me. This race was fantastic. The last lap of this race was fantastic. SVG getting top 5 of this racetrack was fantastic. Riley Herbst proves why he's on 2311's radar to get signed to the Cup Series next year and wins in Indianapolis. This race cooked. It was great. It was a great race. I literally have nothing bad to say about the Xfinity race. Once again, we've said it ever since the show started. The Xfinity car is the best thing NASCAR has. They need to preserve it. They need to massage it. They need to wax it. And they need to continue to love it, because that race was insane. Fantastic race. Fantastic race. Go ahead, Peyton. Kick us off for Xfinity.
What a delight. And there was so many people, and I understand why. There were a lot of people who were very critical going into this race of them using the small choked up motor with 150 horsepower, running on 3 cylinders at best. But it really did provide a show, and it helped alleviate one of the issues that everyone anticipated going into the big track, which is the fact that even for IndyCar, that place is 1 lane wide. And the thing that people often forget too, that the way that IndyCar works, or the most exciting IndyCar races, you want to look at the 2013 Indy 500, where there are about 6 billion passes. They had those cars with a ton of drag where they could get big runs and do things like that. This was an interesting hybrid. It had aspects where you had drafting track type feel where if you got a push from somebody, we saw those sort of tactics go on between the Haas cars. That was very interesting to watch. It did still look like handling played a factor, but it also brought out the best aspects that we like to see from those Xfinity cars, which is they get interesting with air. You can pack air on the car in front of you, side of you, you can manipulate it, and you don't necessarily kill that driver in front. And yeah, Riley Herbst, I'm interested to get everyone's thoughts on where they would put his terms of talent level, skill level, because everyone is saying he's going to go into a third 2311 vehicle. A lot of people are saying that it is a money type decision. The kid, when he's won impressively. Like that race where he won in Las Vegas, he didn't just, back into it. He took the belt off and said, boys, line them up. I'm getting ready to tan y'all's ass. That's one curse for me. We'll have to bleep that. Apologies. And yeah, I mean, he whooped him in this. I mean, he was dang near as close as these cars can get to opposite lock. He had the thing crossed up going into, I believe it was either third or fourth. I didn't think he was going to save it. I didn't think he was either going to save that car, much less have the momentum to hold that lead. And he's going against a guy who had a cup career. I mean, he was doing it against Amarillo. He was doing it against his teammate who had won the cup level. So he's racing, quality guys and good equipment. It just did really, really well. So yes, that was by far the best race of the weekend, and against sort of the odds. I also don't love the idea of choked up motors just packing things together in the same way that I would sort of like to see them run free in Atlanta with full horsepower, and let's see what happens if it becomes a handling and performance track versus a sort of weird hybridish pack race. But darn it, when I'm sitting up there in February and it's cold, put on a show, and boys, just put on a show.
Yeah,
sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I have to agree completely. I really, really enjoyed this race. It's weird. I was getting vibes of peak Pocono, right? We talked about Pocono last week, how like it's a fuel strategy race, but when you don't have the fuel strategy part of it, it's kind of weird. Like it's not the best show. And so I was getting a mix of Pocono with the fuel strategy, and I was getting mixes of like mid 90s, late 90s Talladega and Daytona, where you had the drafting, but it was very spread out. And so you would have someone who would make a mistake and get out of line, and then they get run through by like 5 cars. So it was a weird hodgepodge. But then you still had, with the 4 corners of Indy, like you had these opportunities to move someone out of the way, which you wouldn't see necessarily. So there's just a lot of weird factors there, but like all weird in a good way. It started with a disaster, right? Lap 1. It just destroyed part of the field. And I saw that, and I was rolling my eyes at first. I thought, oh boy, like if they're doing this on lap 1, we've got a long way to go. But overall, I felt like the field, and maybe it was because of the engine restrictions like Peyton talked on, but it felt like the field was a lot closer than the cup race. Just literally in terms of running order, it felt like there were more cars that were in it, especially late. Riley and Cole racing each other like they did. They raced the hell out of each other for like 25 laps or so. And then the finish was just fantastic. I mean, yeah, I think for Riley, to Peyton's point, like he's a guy who I think has a lot of untapped potential, right? Like when he puts it together, like, yeah, he's great. He just hasn't had necessarily the consistency of maybe like a Sam Mayer, who's been able to have some more success on a more consistent basis. But I mean, that was where superstar level moves, like from a guy who hasn't had a huge reputation for making them, right? Like if Kyle Busch in his prime does like those moves, we're like, oh, okay, well, we expect this from you. This is from a young guy who hasn't had that many opportunities to win races or be there in the running at the end. And, he did everything that he was supposed to and kept his cool. And, it'd be real easy to panic going into one on the last lap, losing the lead after you did all that work to get it. But, the drift out of 4, is just one of the most badass winning moves I've seen in a really long time. So I think you got to give him all the credit there. And, like, I'm definitely no fan of Almirola, but, he was Johnny on the spot as well. Like he took advantage of the situation he had. It was just one lap too late or too early rather. So yeah, them and then Cole as well. Like I said the other week, I'm going to put some more respect on Cole as well. Like he just keeps showing up and it's just always at the front, it seems like. So it was just a really great finish, and I was surprised how much I liked it. I think I went into the weekend thinking for some reason that that Trucks and Xfinity raced at the short track, and so when I turned on the TV and they're at the big track, I was like, oh wait, what's going on? So that shows you I'm a journalist. But yeah, it was just really, really great racing. And then yeah, SVG too, getting a top 5, like that was fantastic. I thought for a while he might have a chance to contend for the win, but still getting a top 5 from him is never a bad sign at a track like that. So all in all, a great race, a very weird race. I don't think I've ever seen a race where it had like all these factors, like I said, of these other tracks. But I mean, Riley was the star of the show and like he earned it. And so it's interesting, we just talked about Corey and I was like, oh, he seems to have shown like a spark of immaturity. And then we've all wanted Corey to be in the 23 car. At least I've been for a while, like that third 2311 car. And then Riley comes and wins in like a badass way. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Like these two stocks are one is ascending and one is descending very quickly. But yeah, it was a great race overall. It's one of those you're literally sitting on the edge of your seat, leaning into the TV to watch it. So that's really all you can ever ask for out of it.
That was great. That was great. One of the best any brickyard races in a long time. That boy Riley was cooking. I know he had a dog in him. Happy for Shane Van Gisbergen to get a top 5 on oval. Like man was cooking as well. Also glad driver did not win. We would not name him. Just overall, that last lap was just fantastic. How Riley just came out of nowhere. I thought he had the race lost. No, he never gave up. Kept fighting, and got that last lap charge to the pass. That was beautiful. So, like I said, that boy Riley's just gonna cook in next season. Hopefully, go to 20 racing. He's been cooking this season, and hope to see what he does during his last couple of races.
Carl, what you got to say about the Xfinity race?
Introduce yourself first of all. Coming in late, it's in the side door.
First of all, coming in late. I ain't nobody come in late because I wasn't coming at all.
You did.
That makes
came late.
You can't
say hello to the people.
If I don't tell you,
you came late. I don't want to hear it. You came late.
He never said he was coming, so he can't.
I never
be
said
late
I was.
Yeah,
I can't be late.
Never said he was coming.
Yeah.
Say
hello.
You're still late.
What's up? Decided to show back up because the Cup race was so controversial, and I had some free time tonight. I thought we'd be further along in the episode. We weren't, and so now I wish I didn't show up. But
come on, man.
Hey, there's no introduction necessary. You know,
you right about that.
But as far as Xfinity
He's
race
the least
goes,
favorite podcast host. He's the one.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I watched a little bit of the Xfinity race yesterday. I was volunteering with children. It looked abysmal. I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't know what it is about those cars at that track. I don't know why NASCAR is so insistent on putting some kind of package on them to where they can't run on the chip. I don't really get that, but the finish looked cool. I mean, shout out to Riley Herbst for four-wheel drifting through turn 3 and saving it. I don't know that many drivers in the field had that in their wheelhouse to be able to pull that off, and I don't know if that stems from, I get that Herbst do off-road stuff, or is that just like where his family's done and he's always done stock car stuff?
I think he did, if I can remember.
I know his family's based in that. I don't know anything else.
Let me take a look
Yeah,
at
I mean, yeah, that's cool. The only thing I really noticed about the Xfinity race was that Eric Almirola didn't take the sunglasses off. So, we got quiet for that one. All right. Anyway, but no, it was cool. It just, I don't know. It just seemed everything was just so slow. It felt like it looked like on TV. It didn't seem great, but the finish was cool, and I know everybody was kind of questioning the rumor of Riley going to 2311, and now all of a sudden he wins the trip back to Indy or wins. So that's that's cool. I mean, I guess, and yeah, that's really it. I mean,
Yeah, your stock kind of rises when Denny Hamlin tweets out impressive after he sees that move, a race-winning move. He kind of just locks up. Then he got off. He turned off the TV, grabbed his phone, called the monster rep for Tyler. Like, yo, cut the check.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Riley Herbst, the thing about a lot of guys in Xfinity, I said this a while ago. I don't think on the pod, but there's no longer any kind of development pipeline, so you don't really know who is talented and who isn't, because nothing is similar anymore, right? Like the trucks all run a spec motor. There's not a lot you can do with the bodies. So, it's just like you got what you got. The Xfinity series is not like the Cup series, so it doesn't translate. So you don't know. I mean, and so like I said, Herbst pulled some speed out of his rear end last year and at the end of the year. And so maybe if he's with the good Cup team, maybe he can perform a lot better. I don't know. So, yeah, I don't know. I know people were really mad all of a sudden that Denny Hamlin tweeted that, because I guess people are sour that Heim isn't getting signed, but I would much rather Heim, have a for sure thing than, be stuck in limbo. And like he told Tricon, all right, I'm leaving. I think I'm going 2311. And then Denny Hamlin saying, well, we don't have a sponsor for you. And then him just being stuck and doing nothing. So anyway.
Yeah, you got to have money to go Cup racing.
Yeah, what's up, man?
Oh, I'm sorry to cut you off, Jared. He did do off-road stuff. His family owns a great racing team too, off-road.
Yeah, see, I thought that I had heard at some point in time that he had been doing some of that stuff too. So maybe that's what it stemmed from. I don't know. Anyway,
because him and Bobby Porter are very close.
Yeah, it's just Xfinity doesn't disappoint. And if this race displayed what actual talents they do have on a big track, Michigan's going to be crazy when Xfinity gets back on track up there. I think that the Michigan race is going to be kind of nutty. It was also announced, since we're talking about SHR, that Cole Custer's going to the Haas factory team, to no one's surprise. Daddy's in the seat. He's like, I want my son back. Which means that Kentucky should come back on the schedule. I think I need Cole Custer back on Kentucky. I need that back. Does Haley go and drive at the Haas Xfinity team?
Justin Haley? That's the one.
Haley Deegan. Haley Deegan.
I was going to say there's only one Haley that I know would be qualified for that.
Haley Deegan. Oh. Does she take her monster check and keep giving it to Haas to fill one of the vacating seats, because we know one's gone, potentially both, but we know one for sure will be vacant here next year.
Is Monster coming along? I mean, if so, then yeah, I'd say there's possibilities. If there's just her with no sponsorship money, that'd be tough.
Yeah, I don't really know kind of what her financials look like and all that stuff. So that's kind of questionable. I mean, if they can make it work, by all means, there are some people I would rather see get that opportunity. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you about it, but I mean, if she lands that seat, it's good for her. And I called into the show a few weeks ago, and I just said sometimes things don't line up, and it, like I said, it's just so hard to judge where people are at talent wise sometimes and whatever. I don't see how that deal's going to work out. I mean, I guess if Riley is going to Cup and Monster, I don't know where they get all this money from, but I guess if Monster wants to stay in the Xfinity Series, I guess I could see Deegan absorbing the Herbst Monster allotment. I guess I could see that, yeah. And then Priest being the Haas car. So
if Priest isn't driving tractors,
yeah, he need to go drive the United Rentals delivery truck. Those guys get paid hourly. They got good benefits. I thought about applying for them once. Anyway.
On to bigger and brighter things. Today, the Brickyard 400, the questionable crown jewel. Before we get into the race, because we all know why we're here. In the midst of recording, Elton Sawyer was interviewed post-race in regards to their decision-making leading towards the end of the Cup race today. So Elton was quoted saying, I'm not going to play the video, even though I should. I'm not going to do that. With Brad pulling off as they were coming to green, he says he felt that was the right thing to do. Larson moved up and control was given to Blaney. And I say given with the most sarcasticness that you can hear in my voice right now. So he felt like that was the right thing to do. Nothing would have been changed. If anything would have been done, they would have put the field back under yellow, reset the cars. They would not have chosen again. They just would have came back to the green the next lap with Larson and Blaney side by side. And then the interviewer asks, well, what about Priest being, sitting sideways in a daze on the backstretch? And he was like, yeah, well, we make every concerted effort to have them race back to checkered. It was a safety concern, so we gave him as much time as the 41 needed. He was making a concerted effort coming back or trying to get the car back started to get back moving again. Once we realized it was a safety concern, we had to throw the yellow, and therefore it ended the race. Yeah, I call bullshit. That's bullshit. Like Jared said at the middle and the beginning of the show when she called in, you could have called the caution, you could have re-racked, you could have done it again. Same thing with the restart where he jumped Blaney to get the lead. If Larson would have won straight up heads up, I don't think that there would be so much discourse. But there were two things within the time span of like 10 minutes that gave the 5 car a very clear and unreasonable advantage to win this race today. And I think for me that's what takes the crown jewelness away from it, because everybody else has earned it the last 30 years they've been on this track. You got to earn your win. I still remember like one of my favorite wins outside of Dale Jarrett winning his in 96 was when Casey Kane had to go for broke. He had to win the race to make the playoffs, and he walked off. He earned it. And, obviously he got extra, Kyle got extra experience running the 500 and all that stuff. That's why he learned all those crazy moves he was doing in the corners. So I'd still think that he probably could have won the race, but it doesn't feel as clean because it feels like it was gifted to him. And I'll leave that there. 23-11 corners would be a happier part, but I'll leave that. That's going to open the show for the cup part of the show. Hart's got this look in his eye. I'm gonna let you go first.
Do I have to go first?
Yeah, because the damn VP didn't even wait for Sirius XM to say it was bullshit. He came right on air after the race and said, "Yeah, we did that."
What am I talking about? Am I talking about the whole race, the finish?
Talk about the whole race. No, this is the whole race. I wanted to throw that out there because our listeners may not have known that he doesn't have to wait till Tuesday to say his piece about why they did what they did.
All right. Well, up until the end, I really enjoyed this race. I say through gritted teeth. I enjoy the fuel strategy. I enjoy the fuel strategy, and this felt much more like a better Pocono, like I referenced on the Xfinity side. I don't think it has much of the drafting aspect as the Xfinity race, but there were multiple strategies. I think there were 2 or 3 different strategies throughout, and so you're like pulling on a string on a thread, waiting to see how they turn out, if the cautions fall your way, and if you can save enough. I actually don't have a problem with there's a bunch of issues. I don't have a problem, and I'm gonna try to be quick because I don't want to take up too much time. The whole Brad pulling off, Keselowski pulling off, I don't mind them moving up a row. I feel like that's always been the rule. That's fine. But he sure as hell jumped the start. Like, he jumped the start. Don't lie to me. Don't bullshit me. Like, he goes first. It's whatever. Should have penalized him. I don't have a problem with the row part. Larson did the same thing as Elliott on the pit exit on the outlap. Didn't get penalized for that. Also, if multiple drivers are making the same mistake and they're saying that they read whatever the documentation is, well, then that says to me that's probably a case that the documentation wasn't clear. And I think Bob Pockris tweeted out a copy or the copy from the email about the rules on the outlap. And to me, it didn't seem as black and white as the booth made it out to be. Now, the rule makes sense, like don't go up the second white line, but the verbiage that they gave them does not make it as clear as that. And so again, like, if you're going to make a rule that is this important, that you're going to penalize people for, it has to be as idiot proof as possible, right? And like, that's not to say any of these drivers or crew people are idiots, but you have to make sure it's as black and white as possible so that this mistake doesn't happen. So you don't have Chase Elliott having a meltdown on the radio, your most popular driver, saying, "I'm doing exactly what you told me to do." And in his mind, he is, and in other drivers' mind, it is, but whatever. So that sucked. I enjoyed the racing at the end up until the last lap. The 6, 12, 5 battle was great. That was really fun to watch. The 5 being fueled up was great. I really enjoyed it up until the end. Those controversies aside, I'll save my thoughts on the last lap and the post-race comments for my Lights Too Bright spoiler. And I'm really aggravated about it, so I'm going to try to be nice until then. But the rest of the race I enjoyed. I thought it was a good Brickyard race up until that point. I've seen some people hating on the race up until that point and during the race, and I just don't know what kind of expectations people are having for this. Like, it's always been kind of a strung out race where the field gets spread. And back in the day, they didn't have the competition cautions to bunch them back together. So, I mean, it was about what I expected. And I was fine with that. I was happy with it, again, up until the ending, which we'll get to in Lights Too Bright. So overall, the first 98% of the race, you get a thumbs up. The last 2%, is stepping in dog shit, but we'll get there. So that's all I got for the race.
Our newest employee, Peyton, what did you think of the Cup race?
So we leave the Indianapolis Roval because it didn't feel special enough. We just didn't feel like the road course was what the fans wanted to see oddly enough, we got an absolute road course style race on that oval where it was, like everyone has before me mentioned, a couple of distinct strategies all coming down to fuel mileage and people having to hold back. And that's what led it to be a compelling race. It was so difficult to pass where you could see, I believe, on in the first stage, the 45 car stayed out significantly longer. I believe it's about lap 39, while everyone else pitted about 15 laps, 20 laps earlier than him. And the 24 car could barely manage to get past on 4 fresh Goodyear Eagle tires. So you knew that the tires weren't going to be a big factor, even on a track that can be pretty abrasive. So, yeah, any passing, we were lucky to get the passing we did, thanks to that fuel strategy, and yeah, that made it very compelling. What I hate is the same thing that I hate having been at that Nashville race. If the race had played out naturally and we hadn't had, the series of cautions, which, hey, in both instances, wacky stuff happens. Cautions happen to, initiate, all the cautions happen. Hey, I get it. But it's just sort of a bummer because I think we were going towards a very compelling finish of, hey, can the 5 car catch up? Is the 6 car going to be able to make it? There's a lot of intrigue with that, and we were robbed of that. It's just one of those things with motor racing that can be so frustrating. You are just oftentimes robbed of what could be a very interesting, compelling finish. And then thanks to NASCAR's the way they operate their races, you instead just get calamity. Like, very rarely do we get green, white checker finishes that don't end up being calamity, especially when you involve fuel mileage where people are, having random failures throughout. Everything that happened in terms of what has everyone fired up, I understand why everyone was fired up. I also understand from NASCAR's viewpoint why they decided to do these things, having been at that Nashville race once again. Yeah, I can understand them just not wanting to put themselves in a series of endless cautions and crashes, trying to get that thing restarted. But it's so hard to have things look and feel legitimate and square when that was clearly a caution. The 41 floundering, I think Jarrett said, just wandering around in a daze. That's a caution. And that was a caution. That would have been a caution the moment he spun or the moment that he was slowing down. It didn't take, can he get reset? If that had been on lap 14, that gets a caution flag. But since they knew, hey, these are circumstances, they don't throw it. It's just super duper frustrating. So, yeah, it does take some of the shine off it. I'm not as upset about the rules penalty in terms of the crossing over the lines. Apparently, when they last went there, the drivers were doing it and not getting penalized for it. Apparently, the documentation wasn't that bad. I think the spirit of the rule, or the actual thought process behind the rule, is quite sensible. I don't think you want cars swinging onto the racing surface in order to get good entry into what should be an access road. But once again, in NASCAR fashion, I can understand their thought process. They just executed it in the worst way, or just with the least amount of forethought in how to properly implement it. But in terms of enjoyable of the race, it was better than I thought it was. For a track where you could not pass, enjoyed it. I didn't mind the fact that the place was half empty. It's a gigantic track. They could have covered that place with even more banner covers and everything. The place still looked empty. The race felt special. That track always feels special. It's one of the few places we see nowadays with grass on the backstretch. There's a lot going for it still. It'll be interesting. I think you'll probably get another oval race next year. It'll be interesting to see where they go from there. But yeah, I think also people forget too that this track hasn't really the most remembered highlight is Jimmy Johnson blowing up. Like, this track overall isn't necessarily as fun as everyone remembers it, but yeah, I thought overall compelling. And yeah, just in NASCAR fashion, you just end up having a tremendous mess on your hands towards the end.
Carl.
Yeah. Well, where to start? What do you say? What do you know? I've been watching Sopranos too much. Man, am I supposed to talk about the finish or no?
Do what you want.
Okay, all right, 10-4. Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, the people that were complaining about this race are the same individuals being boring. Some individuals that they have to watch a video on YouTube split screen with like Subway Surfers or something, or people like power washing carpets or whatever. Indianapolis, Michigan Auto Club, Pocono historically have always been races that have been long and strung out, and and it comes down to the end, usually on fuel mileage or something like that. I mean, it used to be every year at Indianapolis for years and years and years. 3/4 of the race, I mean, would just be one or two guys leading, and then it would come down to like the last 10 laps, and there'd be a battle for the lead, and all would be forgiven. I think of Ryan Newman passing Jimmy Johnson in 2014. I think of Tony Stewart and Kevin Harvick in 2007. I think of Paul Menard and Drift Gordon, all that stuff. It was miles above the Roval race here last year. 2022 was only good because they got down to the end and they couldn't stop wrecking. 21 was the same, margin. I don't know what you people want anymore, because 1 week it's like, oh, we want authentic, genuine racing, and then as soon as it's like not like a shit show, all of a sudden it's like, I'm sorry, Peyton just put something diabolical in the private chat, and it caught me off guard. Anyway, so look, I'm glad that we're back on the oval. I loved it. I love seeing it. The racing to me was fantastic. It seemed like they had a really hard time following each other. It just seemed like this car, which historically performs really well on bigger tracks, for whatever reason today just wasn't there, but it wasn't terrible or anything like that. You know what I mean? And there was a lot of good old NASCAR in there, right? Like, not very often anymore do we talk about, I guess we have talked about fuel mileage races, but it felt like it felt like an old Indianapolis race in a lot of ways. And I can appreciate that from what I was able to watch and see. Beyond that, yeah, I mean, I just feel like the finish was abysmal, and I feel like the explanation of the finish is even worse. I feel like that really soured it for me, honestly. I was super excited. I don't know, man. I just, like I said, I was excited for the 2311 guys to get a double top five. And I was really excited for Blaney to win his third race of the year. I have been really on the fringe of tweeting out that I think Blaney might be the first guy in a long time to actually defend his title. Legitimately defend his title. But that just soured it for me, because okay, so the 6 pulls off on the restart. You don't call off the restart. Understandably so, because he was out of the way and it was safe and he could coast. Even if he stopped on pit road, they could get him out of the way. No big deal. But I mean, it seemed to me clear as day that even if the 12 went, he was the control car and they were still inside of the box by the time the 5 had passed him. And so it's like, okay, well, from everything we've been told, that should have been a penalty, but I guess not. And then I could understand legitimately if a car spun on the spun on the next to last lap or whatever, and he was in the infield and he kept it rolling, right? Like, that in and of itself is somewhat justifiable. You want to let the race finish. I get it. We've had that situation happen before, but for him to spin, because he spin in 2 or 3. Was it turn 3 or was it turn 2?
I think he spun in 2
for Priest.
I think it was coming out of 2, going into the back.
It was 2. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Right, because 3, I could maybe kind of see a little bit, maybe because it's so close to the end. But it's like he spun in turn 2, right? Turn 2. I mean, the back stretch is very long, So they hadn't even fully gotten to 3 when that happened. So you guys waited almost the length of an entire lap to call it, and he hit the inside wall. And he was trying to get going again. Then he was like, all this happened prior to him you guys taking the white flag. And any other week, any other lap of this race, had it happened a lap prior, like before the red flag, that would have been a caution, 100%. And so it's like, what are you trying to achieve here, from an officiating standpoint? Because in my mind, if you guys are worried about, creating situations that like, wow, they'll talk about that around the water cooler tomorrow, X, Y, and Z or whatever, call the damn caution. Let them rack them up and do it again. Like I said, if Larson is that good, which, I hate to give the guys flowers, and I'm more so pissed off because, like I said, I had a ticket I was going to submit this week that was like $1,400 to win, and I was like, nah, I ain't gonna, whatever. Well, whatever. I was like, there's no way that Larson just wins Indy, whatever the case may be. Something's gonna happen. And sure as shit, not only does Larson win, but Bubba finishes in the top 10, which is what the ticket, whatever. I'm not even bitter about that. But it's like, yeah, he drove up from 18th to 2nd or something like that. You know what I mean? And he, was just knocking him down. Let him earn it on merit. You guys want to prop him up as like the best driver in the world. What better testament than having a guy take the lead and have to fend off on another late race restart where anything can happen? I don't know, man. That just really soured the whole deal for me. And for people to say, well, that's not the first time they've made that call, it doesn't make it any better. You know what I mean? Like I said, plus with the questionable call on the restart prior to that, it's just, I don't know. So I'm glad we're back doing this. I hope they stay on the oval. I hope Xfinity goes to IRP, and we just leave this to be just for Cup drivers. But this one stings a lot. And then Penske just posted a picture of the 12 art, and it looks magnificent. Had it would have been a race version, it would have likely been my favorite race version of the next gen era. And so, like, I'm even more hurt behind that. Like, NASCAR, you fucking robbed me today. I'm calling the police right now. I've been robbed. So, anyway, I guess I'm glad, and here's another thing that happened to me because that made me a victim of NASCAR's robbery. I opened TikTok to find a recipe. The first video I see is that one Hendrick fan. If you know, I'm not going to go into great detail. And he's kissing a brick in his living room. And he's very close to the camera. And if you know what I'm talking about, it's not very pleasant to see.
Probably fit the whole brick in his mouth. I didn't say that.
Well,
is this the dude who has the shower?
Yeah,
yes, the shower guy.
Yeah.
Lord,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know who that is, but I know who that is.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Sprite.
I open TikTok, and the first video I see is this guy on his hands and knees, like that scene from The Shining or whatever it is.
No.
Like coming towards the camera to kiss this brick that he got out of his backyard. And I'm just like, NASCAR, why have you forsaken me today? After everything I've done for you. So, anyway, that's my thoughts on the Cup race in a nutshell. That has been cracked open.
Bonte, what you got?
It was horrible. I hate this race so much. I hate all drivers. No, I'm joking. Besides the ending, it was pretty decent. None too major besides the ending. But I hope we get like a better package, because geez, y'all can't pass for shit. What the hell is that?
That's a lie. Larson drove up all them spots. You know what?
Larson had new tires. I don't want to hear it. Anyway,
I mean, Larson wasn't saving. It wasn't really the tires. It was that everyone else was trying to limp their way home, and they were 2 seconds behind the pace. And Larson was just going at 100.
Yeah, Cliff Daniels called a hell of a race, man. But it just anyway.
Go ahead, Bonte.
Yeah, like I said, I thought it was pretty decent. Finally got we'll get to 20 11 quarter in a minute, but Also, I'll blame Corey LaJoy for the finish. It's always his fault. Um, wasn't too bad. I'm happy that the Cup Series is back in the Oval. Hope they come back next season to do better than how they had yesterday. But overall, the race is pretty decent.
Well, that's all that's going to be said about the race until we get the lights too bright. Let's go ahead and move on down to arguably my favorite section this week, 2311 corner. I sat here on this microphone last week and I told y'all, look out for Bubba Wallace. RPM car be damned. He's going to come to this week and he's going to prepare a meal. And I was proven right. He gets his first stage win since 2022. The 23 Air Force Camry finishes 5th. Tyler Reddick finishes 2nd. The boys get two top fives, and I don't know since when the hell the last time that's happened. The alarm calls have almost been answered. He was very, very close to winning. I feel like to Peyton's point, had this race gone naturally, given us a natural finish, and had Hemrick and Keselowski just falling on by the wayside naturally, Larson wouldn't have had a chance to get up there and catch him. We would have made it real interesting. But thank you, Booty. I thanked you last week, and thank you again. Appreciate you, big dog. Thank you for capitalizing on the non-tire wear that this car doesn't have. Thank you for maximizing the pit strat with the fuel mileage. And we're 7 points out. 7 points. Good, Art. You look like he was pump faking.
Oh no, I didn't know. I didn't know if you were going to assist to someone set us up. But yeah, you're good. Yeah, I thought this was the race they needed. This is exactly what you needed. They were one spot away from getting an extra point in stage 1, right? They finished 11th, so just missed there. Win a stage, and not just win a stage, but led 20 some odd laps, I think. Pulled away from Chase during that run. And then to come back, survive the calamity. Bubba had to do some work avoiding a couple wrecks, and had just enough fuel to not salvage, but to get a top 5. I think it's great. I mean, this is absolutely what they needed to do. I'm super proud of the effort they've put in the last 2 weeks, right? This is what we were hoping for all season. Just be in the hunt, right? Be a threat. And I think they did really well. They I think gained 40 points on the cut line in the last 2 races. Even Chris Buescher had some trouble. He fell back he's only plus 17 over the cut line now. So 4 races to go, like that could be another spot that's in jeopardy. So yeah, they did exactly what they needed to do, which is great. I'm very thrilled with it. I'm surprised very happily, right? It's like, where did this strategy come from? Where did this speed come from? But they had a really good car. That car, I think, had even better pace at times than it finished based on the stopwatch. So, this was a track that we wanted them to do well. I know Peyton called back his 5th place finish the last time they were here on the oval last week. And, I was a little concerned that wouldn't carry over, and I'm happy to be wrong and say that it absolutely did. So, it's exactly what you need. They got fortunate as well, right? Ross finished 15th, but if Bubba doesn't finish 5th, that could be a hurt on the playoff bubble. And Buescher finishing 22nd, and Ty right behind him at 23rd, I see here. So, those are all big hits for the other guys, and it's exactly what you need. You have to take advantage of it, right? If they ran 20th at stage 2 and they don't get anything, the day's not nearly as good, right? Just a crumb, just a morsel of stage points would go miles for them. And they absolutely nailed it today. So really happy for the 23 crew. I'm sure the energy is real high in the shop. I do think it still needs to be max attack, max push. These last couple of weeks, you still can't assume these guys are going to slip up, even though we've been fortunate. Ross could easily go out and win at a Michigan. Chris Buescher's won at Richmond. So these are still tracks that are good for them. So you have to stay focused, but this is exactly what you want. I was very surprised. And I love how I literally came on here and was like, oh, of Ross and Buescher, Chris Buescher doesn't make a lot of mistakes and doesn't have a lot of bad luck. And then he goes and has 2 tire issues. It goes 2 laps down the next week. So I know nothing. I am not clairvoyant, clearly. But it was great. And then for Tyler, if it stays green, maybe he has a shot. I mean, a second place is great. That's got to be his third or fourth second place, I feel like, this year, right? Like, he just seems to consistently becoming just a little bit short, but that's still great speed. And they also play the strategy game excellent and probably better than anyone outside of the 5. They just didn't have quite the track position that the 5 did late. It had to get through a few more cars, but for 2 cars to come out in the top 5 at an Indy, a place that clearly can be a disaster, right? I feel like we had 8 or 9 cars. How many cars were in accidents? Everyone from 29th down. So 10 cars were in accidents, 10, 11 cars. So there's a lot of carnage out there. And for both of them to come home with top 5s, that's a great win. And so, I'm excited to see what they come back with next week. I still think the playoffs are now I think the playoffs are definitely in their future if they can just stay consistent like this, if they can keep pointing their way in. 40 points in 2 weeks is pretty crazy, right? Am I the only one that's a little bit flabbergasted at
No, that's an insane
that kind of surge at the cut line?
That's impressive.
Yeah,
insane,
no, it's impressive.
I remember in the playoffs last year, he was minus 19, came back and made to the next round. What a comeback, man! We still got 4 races left. Let's keep our head together.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say before I pass
also knows those cars are my bad. Yeah.
No, you're good. The last thing I was gonna say was just there after Chicago, it would have been, and the whole penalty, and all of that dourness. It would have been really easy for this team to fold it inward, right? And I think it gives. I have to give some credit, even though I badmouth him more often than not on the show, but for Booty, and then also for Bubba and that team, they kind of rallied around themselves after that, and had probably their 2 best weeks, right? I would say probably of the season so far. So it's real easy to give up, and they definitely haven't folded, and they've shown some fight in them. And I'm just part of me is excited, part of me is damn, where was this 20 other weeks? Right? Where was this all year? But you know what? Hey, if it gives you a shot, so be it. So I'm very happy to be wrong again. I will for the second week in a row. I'm happy to admit I was wrong. I thought they'd have to win their way in, but yeah, you got a shot, and it's even better now than it was a week ago. So good on them.
Was it my turn?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it just what Art was just saying.
I beg your pardon.
Look, man. Anyway, just like what Art was just saying though about where was this the other 20 weeks, and it's there's what's so painful and what's so frustrating about the 23 is there's always these flashes of brilliance, and admittedly, I talk about guys all the time, not being 100% drivers, right? Or being, where they cannot always be the missing link, and I have admittedly said several times that I feel like Bubba Wallace is in that group to where if the team is lacking, then he is lacking. And I love Bubba to death. And there was some unfortunate dumb controversy this week about standing up for a driver that has, I think, it's shown the last couple of weeks had a really unfair bias against him, especially in NASCAR media, because they know that they can, draw interaction and make stories out of him for whatever reason. But that being said, look, I think that when they can put it together, it's fantastic. It's great. And they just need to keep their heads down. And maybe, I think what really happened at Chicago, what the real takeaway for them was the same takeaway I had, which was they can do this. They can show up most every week and really, really, really be, in the conversation. You know what I mean? I thought about Martinsville and Richmond constantly this year. You know what I mean? To show up and to hang with Hendrick and be in the conversation all day. There's no other races like that. And to go to Chicago, a race that last year we were all dreading, that was abysmal. And then this year we were like, he's not going to run that great there. Like maybe he can run good at some road courses, but surely Chicago is going to be a wash. And then, like I said, showed up, 6th in qualifying, right there with SVG, and 3rd in practice or whatever. Like I said, there was some frustration because it's like, the results didn't show the effort. But I think that they realized, like, okay, we can do this. And so they've just put their best foot forward since then, and it's been really good to see. And, I think that Michigan is going to be their best shot at a win, and I don't think it's going to be like on a Hail Mary. I think they can really run well there. You finished I don't know. They ran good there last year, and I don't remember what happened then. And then the year before that, they finished 2nd. So that's a good shot for a win. But, yeah, like I said, I'm just happy they kept it together all day. The plan worked out perfectly, unlike, Mattia Binotto, Booty Barker was on a whole other deal today, and it worked out well for them. He kept his head down, like I said, when everybody else was losing theirs, and the 23 came away with a good spot. And I tweeted on the pod account earlier that, Tyler Reddick, the second half of this year, once that team stopped stepping on their own feet, like they have been on incredible form, and to be in conversation for the regular season title. And, honestly, I am starting to really contemplate to say that, I think the end of the year is going to come down Toyota-wise between him and Bell. The 11 team has been kind of weak here lately, and I'll say right now that I think that they are fully capable of going all the way to Phoenix and doing good things there. I think they finished. They finished 3rd today. Was it second last week? 3rd last week. 2nd in Chicago, 2nd in Nashville. Just insane numbers are putting together. And so I want to give Reddick my love and like they're doing all the things right. And like I said, and that whole program is really coming together solid this year. They just need the luck. And I think all the good things will follow. So, but I'm confident now that the 23's made this swing in the right direction, that they'll be in the playoffs. I think that, last year, I think either the Indy Road Course and Watkins Glen were the big hurdles. And I think now with the Watkins Glen being in the playoffs and then there's no Indy Road Course, and we've got Richmond, Michigan, and Daytona to the end of the year, into the regular season, and Darlington. So I think with that lineup, I think that it's perfectly capable of saying if they don't win, they can point their way in. It's going to take a little bit of luck, but knowing Ross, and like I said, he drives how he looks, I think it's perfectly capable of him knocking himself out of contention and, just staying bulletproof these next 4 weeks. And, I'll be able to buy another Bubba playoff shirt. So that's it.
Peyton.
Folks, this is the danger of AI and deep fakes. You might have seen last week or even weeks prior where there was someone posing as me, might even sound like me, or using my account saying that this sort of gap in points was not necessarily going to be possible to do. That wasn't me. That definitely wasn't me. They sounded like me. But I am here, baby. Now that we're within 7 points, it's happening. Oh, boy, it's coming home. Let's friggin' do it. Oh, God, I'm so revved up. No, just a good overall team performance. I did not expect. I know that the Trackhouse, the one car, has not been what they were last season, but I did not expect them to have just subsequent back-to-back mediocre days. And I'll tell you this, the 23 team delivered. This track overall, it's so hard to gain a good feel for where they were pace-wise because it is such a track position type setup where you look at the 42, John Nemechek was able to lead laps. Mind you, they were decent in practice, but they were able to lead laps. But that being said, it was a team performance where I think Booty and J.R. Houston knew what the situation was, said, hey, here's how we got to run this race to maintain that track position. Bubba did a good job executing, getting in and off a pit road. No mistakes, no real errors, kept his nose clean, and just maintained, and also had to do the fuel saving, which I know has to be a frustrating aspect of driving, but they just executed very well as a team, and they're going to tracks that they should be able to perform well on. There is not a single track coming up where we don't at least have a form book that says, hey, the 23 car, has not run well here. Like every one of these tracks, Richmond, especially more recently, has been better to him. He should have had a top 5, I think, had him and Larson not tangled a little bit. So no reason why I shouldn't be able to perform well there. You got Michigan, you got Daytona, you got Darlington. So you've got places that he's got top 10s on, or has even fought for wins on. So there's a lot of excitement. Still very, very nervous because a lot can change. It does not take, it takes just one bad day, for things to swing the other direction. But the team is being very gritty. They are getting good finishes. What will be interesting is getting back to qualifying better and continue to capitalize on those stage points, because 10 extra points in the bag today was fantastic, because if I'm not mistaken, I believe they finished 10 positions better than Ross Chastain. When I last looked, I believe Ross was like around 15th. He might have moved forward or back. But, being able to bag an extra 10 points and be able to capitalize on that. And I think realistically, they really should probably set a target for the 17 car, because they're now in play. So don't just necessarily focus just on, hey, how are we doing to Ross? Hey, can we go get Chris Buescher? Because that's who the next target might have to be, because there's Daytona. There's still a chance we can get another surprise winner out of this mix. So these are exciting times. Like I said, I did not necessarily anticipate closing the gap this quickly. I believe I said, hey, if we're within single digits with 3 races to go, that I was going to totally just abandon all of my my safety defense mechanism is to be slightly, I guess, somewhat pessimistic. If not, I call it realism, just in terms of, hey, history teaches us this sort of gap doesn't get closed with X number of races. But yeah, to close it within 7, there's a lot. And the momentum is definitely on the 23 car side compared to the 1 car. So yeah, definitely a lot of excitement. And to do this going into the Olympic break is really, really nice. It is, I'd rather be the 23 team going into the break versus the 1 team, because Trackhouse has to do a lot of soul searching, trying to figure out where are we. We are lost in the desert. So yeah, exciting times. They execute well. Tyler Reddick, like I said, he's has a very good chance of being the regular season champion, because he does what Kyle Larson doesn't. Because when the 45 has a bad day, they still finish in the top 10. That's how you win a regular season championship. I mean, that's just how you do it. Will that translate necessarily to him winning a championship overall in Phoenix? Not necessarily, but hey, you're gonna have a very good career if you can do what Tyler Reddick is doing. And yeah, he's living up to everything Denny Hamlin thought he would. So yeah, it's a good time to be a 23-11 fan, or if you're like me, being a Bubba Wallace fan.
Monte.
It was a great day today. Just what we need. Minus 45 to minus 7. That's crazy. Like, that's crazy. If they keep it up after the break, Richmond, I feel like we'll be up top of above the cut line, and then hope to keep that position to go into the playoffs. Because, like I said, the last 2 weeks has been phenomenal. Just need to focus on more stage points, just like they did today. First stage win since 2022 Las Vegas race, the fall one after race. But what I'm trying to say is like if they keep it up, trust me, we'll be in it, and maybe point point his way to playoffs and a win. Um, just what we need. Just what we need. Yes, sir. And Tyler, it's Tyler. Obviously, he's been doing phenomenal this season. Even though he's third, he's like third in the standings, but no surprise to him. He's been doing phenomenal. But amazing day for the 23 team. But we Barker Cook. This is despite us giving him criticism. He did a really good job today. Like a really good job. So after this break, regroup, and hopefully we stay in the contention because that we coming -7. We come to take that spot in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's in this sport you can truly never just say never. And I've been saying, the 23's praises all year. The chase lines up perfect for him if he's gonna make a run, if Bubba wants to have a seat at the table in Phoenix, if he wants to take it personally like his car owner did, now's the time. We got 4. He could have won Richmond, and we could have had a great finish had it not been for the pit stop after the Larson wreck. But the notebook, like to Peyton's point, has been highlighted, and then the sticky tabs are there. The last couple years, they've bought strong cars to Richmond. I honestly don't think now, since we're on the subject, the dual tire thing at Richmond's going to do anything. Hart and I was there at Wilkesboro. They ain't really do much. They ain't really do much. But that's going to be a storyline going into it. However, unless they made the softs softer, I just expect everybody to just continue the normal marching orders, and then we just see what happens. So, they got like 2 weeks to rest. Tyler gets married. Congratulations to him and his family. His wedding's next week. Everybody gets to go to that party, turn up, hydrate, and sit on the couch and watch some Olympic swimming, preparing to come down here for Richmond. So got a lot of faith in the 23-11 squad on both sides. So now we get to rest and see how fast the cars are going into Richmond. So anything else on 23-11 corner before we get to get the drum roll out? It's time for Lights Too Bright.
No, get those lights off.
All right, you go first.
Why you do this to me? Why you make me go first?
Because I need the negativity. I need it. I thrive off of it.
I was gonna say, what's the meme? Like, I thrive off negativity. Okay, well, my Lights Too Bright this week, I should say, goes to race control at NASCAR, and it goes to Mr. Elton Sawyer, the president of competition at NASCAR. If you're a fan who doesn't know who he is, he's that guy who's in charge of all of that part of the on-track process. I have a problem when you make a mistake. And you know what? This is funny. I'm going to bring up Lights Too Bright. It's for somebody else that's not named Corey LaJoy, but I'm going to use Corey as an example. The reason why I always say Corey's always on lights is because when he fucks up, he never owns up to it. It's always an excuse. It's not the mistake that bothers me as much as it's the cover up afterward, right? Like, what was that, Watergate, right? It wasn't the crime, it was the cover up that made it worse. That's how I feel about the end of this race. Some of the audio that Jared, you mentioned earlier that just came out, this was given to the @NASCAR Twitter account, right? It was not given to any media. So, the NASCAR Twitter is only going to be so unbiased, right? But some of the key quotes regarding the end of the race: we did everything we possibly could. 48, though the 41 gave all that he could. But due to the size of the track, once he came to a stop, he'd already taken the white, and we had to throw the flag out. I'm gonna do something here because this might be my new gimmick. It involves the clock, but I just want everyone to sit here just for a minute and don't nobody say nothing, nobody butt in. That awkwardly long silence was 20 seconds. That's how long Ryan Preece was stopped on the backstretch with a flat tire. Don't sit here and tell me that you didn't have time to throw the caution. I sat there on my TV. I turned to my fiance 3 times and said, "Oh, I guess he's going to get moving. Guess they're going to throw the caution." I just, I hate when you fuck up, and I hate when you lie to me. As I've said before, if this is a sport where a 1/10 of a second is the difference between first and 5th place, the fact that it took you 20 seconds to throw a caution is bullshit. It's bullshit when you try to lie to me and say that you already crossed the line when I'm literally watching him stalled out on my television. Again, this is the Corey LaJoy school of no one else has eyeballs but me. No one else can see the truth but me. I said in the chat, I think I was like, y'all might get me to Phoenix and that might be it, because I cannot stand these people in charge. Like, I need to just go watch F1 or IndyCar or supercars or whatever, motorcycles, or fucking chihuahuas racing in a parking lot, like something else that has like some kind of legitimacy to them. And I just want to know, are we going to be a legitimate sport, or are we just going to be entertainment? Because I love WWE, but that shit's scripted. I don't want my pro sports to be scripted. I'm sorry, but like, that's such a bullshit excuse. And I know that Bonte brought up a good point. Like, hey, look, the caution falling when it did was great for Bubba because he barely made it back to the line. Like, he ran out of gas once the caution was thrown, coming back around to the checkered. But I don't care. Like, I don't give a fuck. I'd much rather have my driver finish dead last and it be a legit fucking sport than to have him win on some Mickey Mouse bullshit. Like, I'm sorry. The idea that, again, now we're going to pick and choose when is a caution. Like, what's the point? Like, what is the threshold here for when we decide how we're going to throw a caution? It's very clear that NASCAR thought it would be in their own best interest to wait for the 5 to cross the start line for them to throw the caution in the race. And, I love the overtimes, but like, this is fucking ridiculous. And it's getting to the point where I'm like, maybe this is more trouble than it's worth. Like, I love it. I think it gives a great shot, but maybe it just needs to be a set number and you have to finish under green. Otherwise you don't. Or maybe it's just, you go back to the old way, because like, it's so fucking stupid that we're having this argument, and so stupid that, again, you fucking fumble it. Like, we keep making these bad mistakes, and I have to choose to believe that you aren't totally incompetent and that you're doing this on purpose, because you're either idiots or you're incompetent. So I just have to choose, like, you're doing it by choice, right? Like, you're the sanctioning body. You people have been in these positions for years. Like, last I checked, they didn't overhaul the people in the front office. There was no sweeping firings from from the competition team. So I have to choose, you're doing this shit on purpose. And it's just so aggravating. Like, I literally would turn to my fiance again. I was like, I don't want to keep watching this. I don't want to come back and watch this next year, because like, it's so fucking frustrating that you just can't be a legit sport. And I hate coming on here and being like a negative motherfucker and like cussing up a storm and being upset. But like, what's the fucking point, dude? Like, what are we doing here? Like, everyone in the fucking state could see that Ryan Preece was not gonna move, and they were still going into turn 4. Like, it's a long ass fucking straightaway. It takes you fucking 8 seconds to get down the straightaway, but you can't fucking hit the plunger and throw the caution. Like, I just hate this shit so much, because like, this shit, it should be so easy. There should have been a nice big homecoming. And like, I'm not even mad that it's Larson. It bothers me, but I just hate the fact that it's this level of incompetence. And I just don't know why I keep doing this to myself. Like, it's literally to that point. I'm like, why are we doing this? Like, we should just go and watch something else, because like, no other sport has this problem. Like, this is not a sports wide problem. it's just embarrassing. It's so stupid. It took such a shine off it. Like, now if Larson just gets back around and wins straight up, like the whole attitude is so different. Like, this should have been a good coronation for him coming back after the whole, double controversy, driving the same scheme, whatever. But like, it's just so dumb. Like, it just pisses me off. And like I said, I'm getting to the point where I'm becoming less mad and more like apathetic, which I think is worse, right? It's like when your spouse stops fighting with you, right? It's like, oh no, like they don't even care anymore to fight back. Like, that's the point because like they're about to leave. Like, that's how I legit feel. Like, and this is not bullshit. This is not to make content. Like, I'm literally at the point where it's like, why do I fucking care anymore? Like, you're gonna sit here and look me through the magic of the internet in my fucking eyes, Elton, and tell me you didn't have time to throw the caution. You had 20 goddamn seconds. Like, just don't bullshit me. And to go and then have a puff piece of an interview, but you won't go and talk to the media right after the race. You're gonna wait 2.5 days, but you had time to go do that. It's just such bullshit, dude. Like, it's such bullshit. Like, there's no accountability, and like these people continue to fuck up every single time there's a call at the end of the race. Like, it's always wrong now. Like, when is the last time we came on here and we were like, damn, NASCAR got that right? They got that shit right, man. Like, good on them. Like, I'm glad that they made sure that we had a legitimate outcome, whether my driver won or not. Like, I'm glad to know the sanctity of this sport is valid and intact. Like, what the fuck are we doing, man? Like,
let me look on my Twitter and see the last time I said the words NASCAR got it right.
Look it up, man, because I guarantee it's been a minute. Like, what are we doing? Like, at this point, just make a script and just fucking run it out, dude. And just, give the 5 an extra 10 horsepower with 5 to go. Like, flip the button and give him some extra whatever. Like, I'm just so tired of this. Like, I'm just so aggravated. I hate it for the people that watch it. I hate it for like the fans. I hate coming on here and fucking talking about it. But like, what the fuck you expect from me? Like, when you fucking lie to my face, like you sit there and just lie to my face. And it isn't, and this is what makes it so bad, is that this wasn't a case where it's like, oh, there's a judgment call. It's really close. It's black and fucking white. The reason I know it's 20 seconds, because I went back and I watched it. And that 20 seconds isn't when he spun, which should have been a caution. Isn't from when he nosed into the fucking inside wall, which also should have been a caution. It wasn't when he spun around because he had 2 fucking flat tires, which also should have been a caution. It was from when he came to a full dead fucking stop. So how long are we going to sit there and let him be stalled out? Oh, due to the size of the track. So we've got humidity. We've got the size of the track. Like, I mean, these guys couldn't manage a fucking McDonald's, dude. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? The size of the track. Like, you couldn't work a fucking double drive-through. And you're up here running the most premier sport, motorsport in America, dude. Like, I'm sorry. Like, if we get in trouble for some shit like this, I don't even give a fuck. Because, like, what the fuck is the point? Like, what are we doing here? It's just so fucking embarrassing. Like, I'm so fucking embarrassed at this shit. And, like, maybe it's just one race or whatever. But, like, this is the 10th time we've come on here and I've had to fucking rant and rave because I'm so aggravated. I'm like, why the fuck are we watching this shit? Like, we should all just get together and watch goddamn WrestleMania every Sunday. And at least we know what we're getting. Like, they don't pretend to tell you that we're a legit thing. Like,
hey man, that'd be great.
Honestly, I'd rather do that because, like I said, at least they're not gonna sit there and fucking put their hand in my pocket and then bullshit me while they're doing it. Like, I know exactly what I'm getting from it. If I go to a Broadway play, I know like it's a fucking play. And it just feels so fucking delegitimate. Like, you've already fucked up everything that was good about legitimacy of this sport with a chase, with stage cautions, with phantom debris cautions, with a bullshit ass car that can't fucking pass worth a damn, with brakes that are too fucking big, with tires too fucking big. Because you want to make a fucking spec car when NASCAR isn't a spec car sport. But whatever, that's another story for another day. I'm just like, I don't know why I do this. I don't know why I do this anymore. I legit, like, Phoenix might be it, bro. Like, I ain't even bullshitting you, Jared. Like, I'm not even bullshitting you. Like, they gotta fucking turn this shit around for me to come back. Cause like, if I'm a new fan and like I learn the rules and I watch that, I'm like, okay, but why did you wait? Oh, it's a real big track, guys. Because cameras aren't a thing. We had our fucking binoculars in our fucking telescope trying to see Priest over in turn 2. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you. I hate it. I hate this sport sometimes. And I shouldn't say that. I should say I hate the decision makers of the sport all the time. The last good thing they fucking did was make the Chicago course. So every decision they made since then, I've been against. And I'm sorry that I've had to sit here and fucking rant about it, but I'm just tired of it. Like, how many fucking, times are we going to do this where it's always wrong? Just get it right. Just fucking get it right. So that's it. It's done. That's all I have to say. We're fucking Mickey Mouse.
I'm going to add insult to injury before I let Peyton go. Kelly Crandall tweeted, Ryan Blaney was furious on the 12 radio about the race restarting when Brad Keselowski ran out of gas and Kyle Larson moves to the front row. He says NASCAR just gave the race to Larson. Fucking golden boy. If you've gotten here to the episode, you know what the episode name is. As of 3 minutes ago, Kyle Larson retweets that sunglass emoji. Thanks, NASCAR handshake emoji. Peyton,
I mean, look,
your light's too bright.
Look, man,
they're not even hiding it.
Look, all I can say is this: like, if you are a long-term fan of the sport, first of all, God bless you. You got the patience of a saint. But like,
I about came unhinged at that Larson tweet. I just.
But listen, here's my last thing, and I'll go. Let you go.
Yeah.
How long? And I might get in trouble for this, but you have to ask yourself, how long are you willing to be disrespected? Like, how long are you really literally able to let your intelligence be insulted? Like, they're literally bullshitting you to your face. This is now saying, trust us, do not trust your own eyes. And don't trust your own fucking clock app, because I just sat here and fucking counted it on the Twitter when I saw that had the live video. So, hey, maybe some folks are built for that, but I can't. I got too much fucking pride. And I'm not knocking anyone, but like, I got too much fucking pride to be bullshitted to like that. Like, come on, man. Come on, man. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Go ahead, whoever.
There you have it for another episode of Arts Rant. Like, my light so bright for today is Coil of Joy. Never fails. Coil of Joy, you suck. Anyways, yeah, you can go.
I did note today that I was like, every race I've watched this year has ended with during the race that somebody has been released from the infield care center and has placed blame on the 7 or 77. And that's not even hyperbole. And I'm just like, it's kind of looking kind of rough. But my light's too bright. It's got to be for Max Verstappen.
Talk about it. Talk about it.
I took Peyton's deal.
So you got to go first.
I know. I mean, Peyton can share light on it, but I again, you have to understand, like, just like the vice president said, you exist in the context of all that you are and that's come before you, right? So, like, I didn't see the F1 race. I had to go and I had to watch highlights. Although, like, I was, admittedly, I was out late last night. I was in a different town. I was getting some debauchery. I slept in this morning. I missed the race entirely. But I got up, and the first thing I did was I checked the group chat, and I saw they were Raz and Max. And I was like, well, what happened with Max? So I go and I watch the highlights, and I said out loud, is he fucking serious? Because it's just like, brother, there was you couldn't even thread a needle through that. I don't know what you thought you were going to accomplish there. And it's just like, I don't know. It's just like, I mean, like I said, you probably could have gotten around Lewis at some point, and you chose to stick it where you knew it wasn't going to end well. You knew Lewis had the corner, and so you decided to go like flying off the front of Lewis's car like you were playing Mario Kart or something, and then had the audacity to blame him when it was just like, I mean, you won 3 world titles to this point. You're working on your 4th. You would think by now you would know how to pass somebody, but I guess when it's that 44 car, it's a whole different story. I don't know, but yeah, and then to blame him afterwards was even funnier. And it's just like, I mean, no, that was on you. So anyway,
wasn't there a scene like that in Driven?
There's a lot of scenes in Driven. Yeah, there's a lot of scenes in Driven. I don't know. I can't.
It went to the worst movie of all time.
The thing about Driven, I always think about. The thing about Driven that I love, and every year I post the clip when he is driving through the street course. I think it's Toronto, and he's and they're playing For the Love of Money by the OJs, and I'm like, man, that's peak cinema. And then in the same film, they flip at Old Monza for whatever reason, and then like 20 cars manage to drive underneath him in the time it takes for him to be that airborne. Then he flips and flies into the infield lake. Anyway, I don't know. I have to go back and have to watch Driven again, which is hard to sit through sometimes. So
agreed. I got one more flight.
Let Peyton go.
I was trying to say, did he already think about what I was going to say next and
Shut
steal
up,
that
Carl.
too? Man, it's hard to go after Art. He gets a lot of passion into it, and a lot of F words. I feel bad for his man. Edit that. That's a lot of swearing.
We raw this week. I ain't editing shit.
Oh gosh. Oh boy.
You good? Say what you want.
No, I'm not gonna have to curse too much. So yeah, I got two. One is, and this one's been unique. IndyCar at road courses, at street courses, they really don't show that they're the best and brightest that North American open wheel has to offer. My gosh, they open the race. It takes them 2 starts to even get the freaking first lap in. They're too busy packing each other in. And then you get to 12 laps to go, and they send some fuzzy-haired kid airborne, nearly send him to the upper chamber. It's absurd. They keep going to these street courses. They had it in Nashville. I went 2 years. I saw way more caution laps than I saw green flag laps. Them being able to go to the oval track was probably going to be a blessing in disguise. And the thing is, I get it, because the energy that you get when you do a street race downtown is unparalleled. It is an event. It is a party. But if you want to just highlight all of your drivers being competent, man, they found the formula. Because I think it was Eon, who's in the group chat. He's like, I'm going to try IndyCar today. And then he comes in and he's like, these N-words suck. And I was like, yeah, this.
Hey, yo,
we have to make that like our new audio pod tag, where it's like, you're not listening to Victory Lane vibes. These N-words suck.
And I had to tell him, like, hey, no, it gets kind of messy when they're on road courses, but not road courses, on street courses. Yeah, it's just you've got big grids and you've got really large talent gaps. The gap between the top of the IndyCar field and the bottom of the field is massive. And the other thing is, too, this season has been an especially big rotating name of seats, where there are just dudes who will pop up and I'm like, who is that? Like, who is this person? And I've been watching every race. I promise you, like, hand to God, like, I watched every race this year, and there are still people popping up, and I'm wondering, should I know them? And it doesn't matter, because they're the one causing the third caution. So any car, you get lights too bright. The other one goes to the one that Carl highlighted, Max Verstappen. When your team is sick of you and telling you, hey, no, you're in the wrong, or hey, we're not going to discuss this on the radio because it's childish, you're done, man. Like, you are the quintessential A student who still feels the need to cheat on their tests. Like, you still do all the stupid stuff you've always done. You're a terrible wheel-to-wheel racer. The only way you know to race is the whole thought process of the best defense is to make sure that the other party has no offense. I'm just going to run you off. He is the worst part of this new generation of Formula One drivers, where all I can do is take your line. I cannot run side by side any more than I need to, so I'm just going to run you off. Lewis took the corner relatively as normally. The FIA had the audacity in the report to say Lewis could have done more. Well, yeah, I guess in terms of a crime, I could have done a cartwheel instead of getting hit by the bus that was trying to mow me down. Like, get the hell out of there with that. Like, I get so annoyed with the way that Max Verstappen races because he is so good. He does not have to race the way he does, but he chooses to. And he had a lousy weekend overall. Got out qualified by 2 cars. His teammate couldn't lend him any help because he was still trying to figure out, how you get past a Williams. He was up late, and Carl, we both experienced this, where your work performance suffers because you're up late playing iRacing. Well, that's what he's doing. He's out here, let me log some laps at 24 hours of Spa. How about you log some laps at the Hungaroring without going off the course, because you couldn't do that. Should have loaded that up and ran some freaking laps.
I knew that was like a point of contention this weekend, was whether he was going to run the 24 or not. I didn't see if he did or not.
Well, apparently he did. It went great for him. It seemed to help his day job.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, light's too bright. Go get some sleep. Like, I don't even care about the iRacing thing. Like, yeah, if that's your hobby, then go for it. Like, because would we be mad if he got up early to go lift weights or something? No, but it makes it funnier, and that's what I'm here for. So I'm here for Max Verstappen hating, and yeah.
He's very slowly kind of starting, and it's kind of funny that he's not finished, because he reminds me of every finished driver that I've watched in the last 20-something odd years, to where it's like, I know this isn't the F1 show, but it's just funny because where he's like, he just doesn't give a fuck. If he's even if you tell him he's wrong, like, I'm not wrong. Just like the way that Mika and Kimmy would also be like, I'm not wrong. Even if I am wrong, I'm not wrong. But I don't know. It'll be funny to see if they lose the constructors, because Sergio is just looking at bird watching while he's going through the circuit, and he's just like pointing out, and he's like, hey, there's a Spanish blue swallow, and hey, like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? And what's crazy is, like, in 2020, bro, I went to bat for Sergio. I probably got suspended over defending Sergio and the decision for him to go to Red Bull. And now I open up Twitter, Sergio crashed. Max somehow choked away to a McLaren. What the fuck is happening? So I don't know, but
I'm gonna go. I got 2 more like Sprite. My first one is Corey LaJoy, because I'm gonna give you the right story every week on the show, buddy. Second one, like Sprite, goes to Carl Robinson. I don't want to hear it. You get one this week, buddy. Anyways, y'all go ahead. I don't want to hear it. How
do I have a life too bright? What did I do?
I don't know. I just want to give it to you.
All right.
That seems fair.
Okay.
I got
Monte
getting the Hater of the Year award. That's what he's about to get.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Art already gave his rant for Lights Too Bright. For me, I got to give it to Lando, and I love Lando. This is constructive criticism, Lando. You know damn well you shouldn't have let that boy get in front of you at turn 1, and you pouted the whole race. If you would have been on your job and on your A game and not let Oscar pass you, then you wouldn't have had the team fussing in your helmet saying, "Get the boy the spot back." That's all I'm saying. If you would have showed up prepared, well rested, on the lights, on the trigger to drop the clutch, you wouldn't have had to pout for 3 laps while your team boss is like, "Hey, you don't want to come back home and you ain't do what you're supposed to do now. You know this whooping coming. You better do right by me." But I'm glad it all worked out. Shout out to Oscar getting his first GP win. Lewis Hamilton always seems to be involved in team drama every time there's a first time winner. I saw a meme on Twitter. He got 3rd for some McLaren malfeasance, which was a throwback to some Red Bull malfeasance, and he also finished 3rd. So the Papayas, man, they won in embarrassing fashion, just like the NASCAR Cup race. See, everything comes together. It's full circle.
It's really so crazy, and it really is such a homage to American ingenuity that McLaren are probably going to continuously just like fuck up their way into winning the constructors and like not even like really try, because Sergio Perez is so bad.
Because he's terrible. He's terrible. He's awful.
It's so funny because it's just like, by all accounts, when you take into account everything, like they should. I mean, look, they've got a great car, and that's fine, whatever. And I mean, Lando, you can go sit and spin for that comment about Lewis having a fast car for 7 years or whatever the case may be. When Lewis was like congratulating you, but whatever. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's so funny that that Max should still be, it shouldn't even be in question, and now that it is, and it's, I don't know, maybe. I don't know. I'm just trying to find the silver lining from today, because I tell you, man, I felt genuine disgust at the end of that. So anyway,
how much did Rick Hendrick pay Race Control for the win today?
Yeah, look, man, like I said earlier, I've been watching a lot of The Sopranos, and it's almost like somebody pulled Elton Sawyer aside and it was just like, did the whole Tony Soprano nose breathe thing. I can't do it. I've been trying to do it. When he was like, you want to see your kids go to college? You want to walk again? You want to use those beautiful legs you got, Elton? All we're saying is we brought Kyle back in the papaya car for a reason. And we would hate for something to happen to you if Kyle didn't win. We would hate that. I don't know. I mean, it just always feels like Hendrick is right at the precipice of something fishy happening, So I don't know, but
I hope your back is good, Rick Hendrick. For the eighth picture of them kissing the bricks, he couldn't get back up. Hope you good, dog.
He was fighting for his life.
Your wallet should be a little bit lighter after that check you cut, my boy.
My life felt so bad watching that old man struggle,
bro. I'm gonna just say this, man. Fuck everybody involved with that win today. I mean, even the hauler driver, everybody involved. And that's how you know it's personal for me, because if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna ride for the hauler driver. But yeah, fuck everybody involved with what happened today.
Yeah,
I'm a hater.
Bullshit.
The thing about it is this, man. Like I said, I would have, again, I'll leave it at this. I would have no problem if they re-racked him and Larson won again. I'd have been like, well, that's an admirable drive. I still dislike Larson, but I'm like, hey, it is what it is, man.
Talk about it.
I still think a much better story would have been Brad Keselowski stretching his tank that long to win. That would have been, yeah, you know what I mean? But just in our face, just like we don't see anything wrong with what happened. And I guess there's some discussion over, I guess, Pocono last year. The same thing happened.
Yeah.
How does Ryan Preece continue to find himself in these situations? I would say I don't know, but I do know, and it's because he needs to be driving a forklift. But man, look, bro, I just, again, and I've said this on Twitter before, bro, it's like, nothing against the guy, but I just get so tired of folks telling me that, like, I should worship somebody because they're good, like, in one discipline of racing, and then, like, they show up and they do fuck all in the Cup Series, and it's like, okay, whatever. I mean, I don't know, but anyway, man, I don't even remember what the outcome, like, if we were pissed at NASCAR for what happened with Denny Hamlin at Pocono last year or not. I think everybody was mad about it.
Everybody was.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing.
It was Denny.
It was last year because he won.
Last year, right? Okay.
But here's the thing. Okay, guess what? They suck then too. Like, okay, do you think that changes anything? I just told you because I'm sure I'm gonna get some idiot motherfucker who's rooting for the 5 who's gonna be in my DMs or on my timeline. My undefeated streak's been going up like Goldberg in the 90s the last couple of weeks. But like I just told you, I'd rather my driver finish dead fucking last and be legit than go through that bullshit. And I know, like, some people think, oh, that's bullshit. You're just saying that to say it. No, like, I would much rather win legit than ever go through like some Mickey Mouse bullshit. Like, it's just so ridiculous. Like, again, like, what's the point in watching this? Like, the last 2 laps of that race made me feel like I just pissed away my whole Sunday. It literally did, because I was like, okay, so none of this really mattered, because you're just gonna at the 11th hour just change your mind and not follow your own rules. Like, you made the rules. So no, like, it sucked then, it sucks now. I'm sure Denny was put in the crosshairs for it then. 5 team fans, this is your time now. Shut up. I don't care. Like, I don't care at all. So yeah, no, it sucked then. Like, they still suck. What do you want? What do you want me to say? Like, It's fine. Like, no, it's wrong. It's bullshit. We should be better. These aren't a bunch of teenagers out here doing this. These aren't college interns working for minimum wage. I'm sure that everyone on the competition team is well compensated for their time. That's all I'm going to say. And I don't like the pocket watch. But I'm sure, I tell you what, if I sucked that bad at my job and I made as many back-breaking mistakes every week like they do at my job, I'd be looking for some new employment real quick. Me and Indeed and LinkedIn would be real familiar real quick. The Google page with my my resume would be real familiar and pinned real quick on my browser, because my ass would be out of there for sucking at my job. I gotta watch these idiots come on here.
I think for me, and I'll leave it at this. I don't know what else we got to talk about. Probably nothing. But I think for me, I'm still hungover from the Charlotte decision, and so and I'm also hungover from Pocono last week, where Corey LaJoie takes a line that nobody has ever taken in the history of racing at Pocono and made work. And there's no problem, no penalty elsewhere. We didn't see anything. Whatever. We have Charlotte end. Everybody and their mother is like, this race have to end early. NASCAR's like, well, we saw something different. Whatever. I don't know, man. Sometimes I feel like the FIA gets it really right because by having everything go to committee, versus like you just have one or two assholes that are like, we just do whatever we choose to do. And you just have to accept it as our fate. I don't know, dude. It sucks, man. And it's just like, I just think when it's that when it's that like bold and in italics, like a bad call, it just ruins the outcome. And I'm sure Larson's fans are happy. I'm sure they don't care, but it's just like, I mean, for everybody else from outside looking in, it's like, it's a bad look. It sucks. And yeah, I don't know, man. I don't have anything else to say, but unless whatever. But it's just been a long year or so of them just consistently making bad calls. I don't know. I mean, maybe Ben Kennedy will do better whenever he gets in that role, but right now I'm just tired of hearing about it. Yeah, especially like I said after last week, and then not doing nothing about Corey. I feel like that was a really big slap in the face to somebody else they said had anger issues and whatever. So yeah.
Open mic. After we enjoy our 2 weeks of solace and silence, that's a lie because we're going to do something.
Damn
it. Myself, Art, and Kiana will be at the Richmond race. So if you see us, shout us out. Wave to us. We friendly people. So we'll be there live and direct for Richmond race weekend. We are steadily marching towards the I guess the pseudo-named Black Excellence prize pack for 900 followers on X. So make sure you follow the page, share the page. We're currently at 8:29 at time of recording. I'm trying to get to a stack by Daytona. We got a month to do it. So if y'all could help us do that, if you follow us, you automatically have a chance to win.
I got some say.
Peyton, you got to turn in your I-9 form for your taxes. Sorry, that's public information now. As a new employee, you got to finish your new hire packet.
You only get that if you get paid, so he ain't got to worry about it.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm still waiting for that direct deposit. Is
Keep
it
waiting,
supposed
brother.
to arrive
Keep
this
on
week
waiting.
or next?
Keep waiting, brother.
Okay, so next week. Cool.
That email's in the mail. Don't worry.
Every time we've gotten money, somehow it's gotten into Art's hands, and we've never heard about it again. So
I was ready to say, do I see a new diecast? Like,
yeah,
you see it?
Yeah,
I ain't never seen that 6 on that wall before. He got a 6 back there, yo.
Yeah, we were waiting on a check to come, and every single day,
new metal.
Art was in the group text.
That's crazy. It's on my Twitter from like months ago, but whatever.
Yeah.
We don't want to deal in facts.
I got something to say real quick.
I was gonna say you said open mic and then you try to wrap the show. You ain't let.
I'm not wrapping the show. I'm saying it's open mic time, and then as a part of my open mic question to my panel, what's one fun thing you're gonna do on Olympic vacation?
I'll go first. So I got like a bunch of classic games from like 360 PS2 that I have like for years. So I'm gonna play most of those on my break because I don't feel like doing shit.
That's fair.
Yeah, I just want to chill, relax, just do me, get away from NASCAR a little bit or any kind of motorsports. It's kind of stressful. But
yeah. Peyton, what are you doing on your hiatus?
Doing two fun things. So I am starting another marathon training block, which honestly is not going to look too much different from what I've been doing anyway, except now I get to put a little check mark on a calendar saying I completed today's run, as opposed to just running the same distances, which I've been running anyway, and just sort of vibing with it. And I'm waking up super early on weekends to make that happen, because if you can wake up and be outside by 6:30 a.m., it feels amazing, and you can fall asleep midway through stage 3 in the NASCAR race. So I'll be doing that. And then the other thing is we will be doing some arts and crafts while watching the Olympics for our 5th anniversary. My wife and I got her a wooden crate because apparently that's the wedding gift, or like that's the year gift is something wood. And so I just went to Hobby Lobby and found what can we paint together? So yes, found a crate that we're going to put stuff in, but first we are going to decorate it. And I kept telling her hey, let's do this during the Olympic break. Hey, let's do this during the Olympic break. So yeah, the Olympic break is here, and yeah, we're going to sit there on a Sunday. And we're going to get this. We're going to get arts and crafts going. So that'll be fun.
Watching swimming while you paint. That's beautiful.
Exactly.
Carl, what you doing?
I'll tell you what, man. I've had a hankering to recreate history. So next weekend I'm gonna run the 1994 Brickyard 400. I don't know. We might stream it. I was gonna stream this weekend. Actually, I had a whole paint scheme and video that I put together like 2 weeks ago, and then I found out that I was going to be out of town this weekend, so I chose not to do it. So yeah, I probably will do that. That'll be it. So,
all right. Anything fun besides complaining about the powers that be?
It's crazy because you're gonna say open mic, and I was gonna say, we never talked about on here.
What's that?
A couple weeks ago, we never talked about them changing the qualifying rule. Why is qualifying
bullshit?
I don't even.
I just was thinking about it, but I
out.
just want to call that out since I'm gonna just go scorched earth. But why is qualifying so fucking complicated? It's can someone please explain to me why it's so damn complicated? This should be the easiest part of the weekend.
Even numbers is inside, odd numbers is outside.
It's
right?
stupid. Whatever. You're immediately losing me. It's stupid.
Yeah, it's too convoluted. I do have one last thing. We've gone on too long, and poor Arthur has to edit all this. But
edit what?
I'm putting the intro and rolling. Y'all ain't even gonna get.
Hey, I got a special intro for you. I'm gonna send it to you. But so the official. I'm declaring the official podcast of this podcast, meaning who we officially endorse. Would be the Well, There's Your Problem podcast. You guys should go listen to it. But they did I'm trying to be in their mentions enough that we get to go do an episode with them, but it ain't gonna work. But anyway, so they were talking about the Olympics this week, and they were like, they should have the podcasting Olympics. And it's like, what events do you guys think we would have in the podcasting Olympics, and where would we place?
We're getting gold, motherfucker.
Gold in what?
Yeah.
In whatever. We have 2 long distance runners right here. If we got to do an 800,
well,
no, he's saying it's some. See, that's how I know you won't listen. He said that it's some kind of podcast specific event.
Yeah, it's specific.
What would the event be?
What would the events be?
Intro. We win the intro.
We win the intro.
We win segments.
Gold on that.
Because our segments are fantastic.
We win segments. We win ad read because ours is genuine.
We definitely win ad read.
Despite the fact I ripped off the ad read from Well, There's Your Problem, but
we're cutting all this out. Now I got to edit.
I got something to say.
Now he has to edit.
Now I got to edit.
I got something to say real quick.
What's up?
All right. The last light to break goes to Corey LaJoy.
Oh my God.
So Monte Olympic break about to last about 4 years. It's Olympic break in the truest sense of the word.
In the truest sense of the word.
Y'all ain't gonna
You be
hear
back
from me.
the next summertime, baby. We see you in 2028 in LA.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Carl here. Once again, look, by this point in time in the episode, we've probably already lost the plot, especially if it's me and Bonte talking. So I'm going to take a few minutes of your time, not too much, to talk about our good friends over at Home Field Apparel. Maybe you haven't been here before. Maybe you've been away for a while. Maybe you did some kind of crime and you got locked up and you forgot what podcasts were. Whatever the case may be, Home Field Apparel is a vintage sports apparel company. They specialize in collegiate sports apparel with over 80 collegiate sports programs. That's college programs. Got some amazing vintage designs for all kinds of schools, even some schools here in Arkansas for me, all over the place. They're based in Indianapolis, Indiana, the home of racing in North America. And you're like, well, what does that have to do with racing? Well, this year, Home Field has gotten into the vintage racing apparel business. Now, they started off the year strong with the Hendrick Motorsports collection. They've gone on and they've done the Little 500 collection, the Indy 500 collection, the Errol McLaren gear. All of it is fantastic. And hey, the best part of this deal is you can see the entire collections at their very easy to use website, homefieldapparel.com. They also have an app. And hey, when you get over there, you find something you like, take 15% off on us. Use code VLV24 at checkout. You get 15% off your first order. Make sure you show us what you got on Twitter, or maybe just talk to us on Twitter anyway. I get lonely sometimes. In any case, it's code VLV24. That's 15% off your first order at homefieldapparel.com. Now I guess we'll get back to whatever it was we were talking about. But honestly, if it wasn't me talking about it, it probably wasn't important. So we'll see you there.
For myself, before we go, Olympic break, I'm going to the beach because I deserve peace, relaxation, and do not disturb itness on my cellular device, even though I know Arthur is going to text me and complain. But I love him, so I allow him.
What did he say fuck me for again?
So we for real not doing nothing the next 2 weeks?
I mean, we
are.
may.
I don't know why he's talking. We are. No, we're not. No, May. We are. I'm gonna just say it now so it's on record. We're doing a crossover episode between us and the chicanery ladies. And we're just gonna do like a look back because we just hit a year a few weeks ago and we ain't do nothing for
a few months ago.
I'm down for it. It was last month.
It was last month. I guess we can do it. A year in remembrance.
I wish this was a video episode. They could see me roll my eyes for 2 hours straight. But no, it's gonna be
what we should do. To hell with all that is what we should do is what we said in the group chat 2 weeks ago, and we get us and we get chicanery. And then we play Monopoly, and then we stream it.
Definitely playing Monopoly.
You know what? Since you want to talk about Monopoly, you asked about doing Monopoly, and my ass was sitting there at 8 p.m.
Yeah, we was waiting for it.
Waiting for you.
Yeah, we were.
No one said. No one. Yeah, you sent me the link. No one for sure said they were going to do it. I tell you what. We can do.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and wrap.
We'll do Monopoly next Friday.
All right, bet. That's what you said last Friday.
I'm gonna be busy. What time is it? I'm busy.
Whatever.
So anyway, like we said last week, the people who finish first get the prizes. This is gonna be out in about 20 minutes. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your mammy, tell your Grammy. Shout out to our partners at Home Field. Shout out to Jer. I know she saw the race in person, which made her reaction that much more genuine. Shout out to BJ for being a valued listener of ours. Your shirt is in the mail. And yeah, with that, we see. If we don't, we don't. And we'll probably we'll do a piece from Victory Lane in Richmond in 2 weeks. Until then, roll that beautiful bean footage, Art.